So you vibe coded your app on a no-code platform and you feel like you're ready to launch, but there's all these little things still left to be done, like add the data to your directory. Maybe your no-code platform didn't successfully do it for you like you thought it would. I know that happened to me. So in this video, we're gonna wrap up this second directory build that I've been working on where we just use static data. In the last video, we created the basic infrastructure using Astro and deploying it with Netlify, setting up to GitHub for continuous deployment. In this video, we're basically gonna close it all up with the final steps you might need to do. We're setting up Supabase. We're implementing an administration dashboard so we can add data and resources to our directory. We're making tweaks and fixes to any little thing we see on the website that isn't up to snuff. And we're troubleshooting the whole thing so we can go live. And then in the next video, I'm gonna put all of it together. It's gonna be like an hour or 2 hour long video so you can see the whole process I'm at. I've been working on this over a month. I finally figured out what I think is the best way to do this. So I'm happy to share with you guys. I hope it's really helpful. Let's dive in. So here's my final product, at least for this MVP. I mentioned it here that I kind of slopped this together. I've been working on this over a month and a lot has changed since then, including the way I want to present the data. So all the data I scraped originally that I've been building this whole proof of concept on is going to change. But I rushed to put this together simply for this tutorial build because I know a lot of you guys are following it, finding value in what I'm learning. So I'm going to wrap it up here and then actually turn it into a little course and guide that I'm sure there will be a link below for you to get. There are still some glitches, like right here, some of the Reddit threads just aren't showing up. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I can't figure that out yet. But here we got a YouTube, we got the vibe score, we got the human sentiment score. We even got upvotes here that I don't want to get spammed and like go through all my Supabase resources. So I kind of shut it off. Like I didn't put the login yet, but we're going to have an upvote downvote that will actually contribute to this score right here, this human percentage. This was kind of generated by AI agents. And then we got the stats from the video. I kind of like how it's displaying the data. It shows you where the vibe score data came from to calculate it, the overall quality score, all that I kind of mentioned in the last video about creating visual matrix for the data. This isn't perfect, guys, but I'm not making this directory to like make money and stuff. I'm just trying to learn the technology. And so if you are making a directory to make money, this definitely is a good way to follow it. It's completely SEO optimized. It's using the Astro framework. It's static site generated. It's fast. But as far as like judging what I'm doing here, this is all a proof of concept. I really want to create an AI agent curated directory from our Discord community. So when we're chatting about things in Discord, the AI agent will pick it up and put it in the directory. And so that's what I'm really working on. But anyway, it's a clean site. Speaking of the Discord, there it is, newsletter. And it's not completely SEO optimized. This has really just been an experiment in seeing how much data I could display and in how many ways to make something somewhat engaging. But really, this is just kind of fun. Everything is just random on here. Like, hey, you want to get inspired for something to do with AI and vibe coding? Let's just check it out. I generated most of all these images you see except for the YouTube thumbnails. So that's the gist of it. It's pretty cool. If you want to learn the whole process, check my YouTube channel. There is a playlist which will have these in order for you. And I will be making this better as I keep learning and learning, and there'll be more resources to offer. But for now, in this video, we're going to talk about the backend, the database, and just tweaking it all and getting ready to launch. Okay, before we dive into this video, I just wanted to bring up a YouTube comment that someone left yesterday. It looks like it was actually deleted. It was kind of a backhanded compliment. And it said, I move so fast around the screen, it's like I am a crackhead desperate for a rock. That was the gist of it. And I guess they deleted it. I didn't delete it because I actually thought it was kind of funny, because at the end they said, your content is great, but you move around too fast. So first off, I'd like to say, I understand that maybe I move too fast. I'm working on that. And in this video, I'm trying a new workflow to where I can get these videos more condensed so you don't have to watch 45 minutes. Maybe you can watch 20 minutes. And it's also easier for me to produce. But the second thing is, I want to remind everyone of why we're building businesses. Like if you're building a directory or I'm building a YouTube channel, like whatever the business is, these days you give away information for free. The directory is free information. These YouTube videos are free information. It's meant to be inspiration for you to see what's possible. Obviously, this isn't the perfect step-by-step guide for how to do something. I'm not holding your hand as you build your unique directory. If you want that, then you hire a coach or a guide or you buy a course, something like that. You pay for the implementation. So the information is free and you pay for the implementation. That is modern day business, whether that implementation is guidance on building something or implementing a native ad to my directory that gets hundreds of thousands of views every month. That is the business model. So yes, I'm going to work on how fast it moves through the tutorials, but I'm trying to give you general guidance here. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to make everything perfect because as you see, every time you prompt Cursor or any AI, you're going to get a different output and you never know what's going to happen there. So my goal is to help you feel empowered to just do it because you don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a full stack developer. You just have to be confident. You have to be good at prompting. You have to have these foundations right, which I'm trying to help you with. So I just want to say that as a precursor here before we get started. But I would love it if you leave a comment about what you think of this new style of video where I'm just narrating over the screencast. I'm not actually doing it as we go through it. I would love your feedback. If it was easier to follow or harder to follow, just let me know in the comments and I'll keep that feedback in mind. Thank you. Let's get started. In the last video, we left off at Bolt and Cursor and GitHub and linking all the three, syncing them together so we can work on one or the other and it'll always update. In this video, we are going to be mainly in Cursor, okay? No more Bolt. There's going to be a little Bolt. We're going to do some Bolt things that are just fun, but honestly, they're kind of the same thing once you know how to use Cursor, and Cursor is a lot more powerful and flexible. So the first thing we're doing is we are connecting Supabase. So I connect Supabase just by clicking that button up there, and I'm just going to tell you now this isn't going to work. Supabase is not going to be able to be connected to Bolt, and I've had the same problems with V0. I don't know how to get the luck of the draw where you get Supabase working in these no-code builders, but I always have to just bring it to Cursor. So we're going to talk about that, but for now, let's start with this prompt where we don't have any data yet. So we want to create an administration dashboard where I can upload JSON files in bulk, and then I can play with the data, I can edit it, I can save it, I can modify it. We need an admin dashboard, basically. So we let that dashboard be created. I'm going to tell you now, this video is a learning process. I've built this 4 times already, and in this particular part of the build, I had to go backwards several times to get the Supabase data schema right. Now, I had pretty complicated data of all these different formats in this video, but you might just have the same style of data for all your listings, in which case you probably won't have some of those problems, most of those problems that I had. So I have Bolt here start creating the admin dashboard so we can start importing the data. And as we're going to see in a second here, we go, oh, the dashboard doesn't work. Hey, fix it. Okay, let's fix it. There's a lot of back and forths in this process, okay? And then we go over to Supabase, and then we're going to need to create an admin user. You're going to go over there to authentication and create a new user. Once you've done that, you've got an admin account and you can log in. But that's assuming Supabase works. So as we're going to see here, I went through it a bunch and I couldn't log in. And then it says, would you like to fix it? It's not in the .env file. Okay, so at this point, we got to go to the .env file in Bolt. And once again, this isn't going to work, but if you want to go through it, you got to get these URL, anon key, and service role keys from your Supabase admin dashboard. And then you got to put it into your .env file. So you go over here to your project settings in Supabase, and you go to the data API and under configuration, and there you go. There's the URL, copy, paste that into your .env file, then go back, get your anon key, paste that in there, then go back, get your service key. I've blurred it out here because that is private and I don't want you to see it. Then you try to fix it, and guess what? It's not going to work. So I'm not bitter at Bolt. I kind of understand why it doesn't work, but it is a bit annoying because then in Bolt, we can't continue working on the admin dashboard. We have to do that in Cursor, which once again, we're going to have more control there, but it is kind of a bummer because it is nice having Bolt and V0 and all these apps just build everything for you. We're going to skip around now here because I want to present to you how to do all this in the right order, not the order that I did it. All right, now I'm going to skip around here. We were trying to do the admin dashboard, and now we're going to jump into something else. I recognize that vibe coding can be very non-linear. You may have a linear, like step-by-step you want to follow. I know I did for this product, but sometimes, especially based on the tools you're using, like I have to get everything done in Bolt first and then move to Cursor. But in this case, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get the data working. So we're going to jump back into Bolt later when I do all the other stuff like tweaking the styles. But for sake of this video and to make it as straightforward as possible, now we're going to start talking about the data, and we're going to come back to the admin dashboard once I have the data set up properly. As we realize the Supabase isn't being connected to Bolt, I brought this over to Cursor. Okay. Said, hey, we have 5 different types of data to display from Coursera, GitHub, Google Results, Reddit, and YouTube. Our current admin dashboard has constraints that will not allow most of these resources to be uploaded. So, investigate the code base in planner mode, and this is a system prompt that you can get with the link below for Cursor rule. So you can say planner or executor mode, and it makes a whole plan, and so it doesn't forget what it's doing, and it knows what we're working on. So I'm saying investigate the code base in planner mode, see how both the uploading process and resource display components work. I need to be able to upload all of the following style of data, and each resource platform needs a unique template for displaying the data on the individual listing page. So we're going to explain all this. I want to be able to edit it on the admin dashboard. I want to be able to upload it on the admin dashboard. There are different categories and tags inside the data, and we need to decide on a per platform basis which one to use. Okay. This is what I prompted it with, but I'm going to tell you, I don't recommend doing it that way if you have multiple styles of data. If you only have one style of data, great. Just use that. I have 5 different styles of data. So what I ended up needing to do was going through each style of data, sending it into Cursor here, saying, hey, like right here, I dragged the Coursera data folder in, and I said, okay, in planner mode, now analyze the data from Coursera, from the JSON data in the Coursera folder. Our app must be able to process the data properly. And then we will write another bulk upload script. We want to ensure we import the reviews, extracted topics, tags, skills, learning outcomes, level, course title, and description and URL. Obviously the sentiment and the review sentiment. So I'm basically going through the JSON file of one of the Coursera resources that it was scraped, and I'm saying, okay, this is what we need, all this stuff. And so I'm being very specific about which data from the JSON file I want us to use in our database schema. If you do not do this right in the beginning, you're going to go through hell figuring out why your website won't display the data you want it to display. So the better you can get your data communicated to your Cursor agent, which will then create the database for you, and the database needs to be clean and have the right columns in the right tables, so you have the right data where it needs to be, then it's going to be easier to display it all, especially if your data is funky like mine. The GitHub data does not look like the YouTube data. It does not look like the Reddit data. There's different comments, there's different scores, but we want to display all that data, which I think will make it a kind of a cooler and more interactive platform. So we got Coursera done. I tested out. It works. Now let's do the Google results. And I drag the Google results folder into Cursor, and I say, here's what we need. Topics, title, body, because we don't need everything. In fact, in here, we have like an LLM analysis in there, and we see all the deep think reasoning. We don't need that. Okay, so we'll return to the database stuff soon. But for now, we've got our database schema more or less set up. Now, whether you've done this on Bolt or on Cursor, it's probably okay either way. Okay, so that's the first part of all of this is data. Get your data right. Get the schema right on Supabase. Make sure you like what's displaying. Make sure there's no missing little JSON bits of data that you're going to want to put in later. You'll still be able to do that later, but at least for the very core stuff like title, description, URL, make sure it's working now. You're going to save yourself a big headache. I say that from experience. So that's part 1 is data. Next, we're going to start making tweaks, modifying the site itself. And there is a good chance we will come back to the data, and we will definitely for the administration dashboard. But for now, make sure that Cursor, the Supabase, that all these machines you're working with, these robots, understand what it is you're trying to do with the data that you work so hard on scraping and enhancing and getting ready for this amazing directory you're building. We're going to jump back to Bolt now. And because I really like the way Bolt does this kind of thing, we say create the light mode style sheet. Because we have a light mode toggle up there that we'll see in a second, but doesn't work. So you see it up there. There's a whole light mode toggle. So we're going to say create that style sheet. So it works. And so it's going to create it now. And now as we see this first time through, it looks like shit. They didn't do a good job. So I make screenshots and I upload them in. This is me taking screenshots of each thing, dragging it in, saying, hey, fix this, fix this, fix this. And then Bolt fixes it. Okay, we're getting better, but there's still problems. So now more screenshots back and forth. You are going to do this for pretty much everything on your directory. Oh, there's a 404. Hey, fix this page. There's a 404. You just go through your whole site over and over. Oh, hey, you're not displaying the data right. Oh, hey, this submit button form doesn't work, and you fix it, etc., etc. So you do that. You're going to do that in and out. I'm just going to keep going through the process here. We're probably going to come back to that. Now, I'm going back to my original PRD here that we made with Grok. I'm first just copying the SEO section. Okay, the SEO section right here. This is an important piece because you want your whole site to be SEO optimized, obviously, search engine optimized. And I'm copying it and I'm pasting in here now implement SEO. And I just paste that section from the PRD. So it's got the meta tags in there, the title, the open graph, the structured data, the sitemap, and robots.txt. So it's going to have all the basis we need for proper SEO. I mentioned earlier, and I have a tutorial of it in a previous video, we're using the Astro framework here. So it's static site generated, it's pure HTML, it's not client-side rendered with JavaScript, which makes Google load it slower and will affect your page ranking, most likely. So we've got the data in there. I add in the keyword. I say, hey, this is what the title's going to be. This is our key phrase, which honestly, since I started building this, I've changed the whole way I want to get attention to this site. And I don't even know if SEO is going to be the way. But anyway, we're putting everything in here for SEO. And so then we can go into the code in Bolt and we can see, oh, look, there's robots.txt. Perfect. Google needs that. We're going to make a sitemap as well, but that's not going to be till later. But for now, it's writing the script that will make the sitemap. So that's our foundation for the SEO. We're going to be able to make improvements later, but like I keep saying, we're just working on the foundation here. We want to get everything into an MVP status, okay? And now it's working on some other stuff. We're putting in a submit page. So if you want to submit a resource, it's asking me, do you want to put a CAPTCHA in? And I said, yes, let's use Cloudflare though, the Cloudflare Turnstile instead of the Google reCAPTCHA. So in a minute here, we're going to head over to Cloudflare and we're going to see how to do that. More errors, of course, just back and forth, back and forth. Okay, here we are to Cloudflare. You go over there to Turnstile on the side of the screen, Turnstile, and you click add widget. And then you add a custom host name, which is your site, and you leave it as default, which is managed. And then you create it. It gives you the site key and the secret key, and you put that into your .env file, which I have off screen here. And then it's going to work. So meanwhile, Bolt wants to make a new submission queue. I guess it's a table in the database. So when there is a submission, we have that for the backend. Let's go back to, in the previous video, we synced from Bolt to GitHub. There it is. I'm going to open that up here and we're going to go back to Cursor pretty much exclusively because we kind of like hit the wall. I always say use Bolt or the no code, expert platform until you just hit a wall. And even then, hopefully you're still able to deploy. We went over that in the last video. You can do a lot on Bolt or whatever. And if you're using Next.js, it's probably fine, but using Astro, if you do a lot and you're not testing its deployment, if it's deploying successfully, if it's building successfully, then you might run into huge problems. That happened to me on like version 3 of this build. So now here we go. I've got the repo open on Cursor, and the first thing I'm going to do is git pull. Why? Because everything on Bolt is automatically being synced to GitHub, which is a new feature of theirs as of me recording this video. And it's awesome, right? Because you don't have to do any git push stuff, but you do have to do git pull on Cursor. And so then that pulls all the changes from the GitHub server, from your repo, and now we have them and now we're synced up. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an example of why you should git push and pull as often as possible. And this is because of production deploys. When you're using no-code tools like Bolt or Vercel or whatever, you're going to get issues if you're developing a lot but not building the actual site, because sometimes code's just not compatible with one another, and it could create issue after issue that are stacked. Like right here. We have a bunch of stacked issues. It published. That one publish is when I worked on the previous video to get that working, and that was successful. But ever since then, it has been unable to publish. So I go here, and you can have this AI on Netlify tell me what's wrong, and I can just copy that message with the button. The Turnstile API package is incorrect. So I go back to Cursor, and I paste this into a new chat. We're having many build errors, and I'm actually pasting 2 different examples, not just the latest one, because they were different issues. So I'm letting it know, and it's what Cursor is going to do is just try to build it and see what shows up. And so we're seeing all these errors. And so I'm going to open up the site configuration because I just remembered that I didn't put the .end variables in. Nothing is there. So that's why the turnstile didn't work, because nothing was in the .env. None of the cat passwords, none of that stuff it needs. So I'm pasting all that in and blurring it, of course. And now all that's there. So if we trigger a new Netlify deploy, which I'm not sure if I do that here or I wait for it to fix. I think we do a little bit of both. Generally, you want to just troubleshoot one solution at a time. But now that's building, and we're going to see. Boom. So we got lucky there. It published on pretty much the first fix. We didn't have to go back and forth. But that's also because in the last video you saw, I made sure it could deploy early on before we started doing serious things to the build. Because it's easy to make a front end on Bolt, Lovable, whatever. It's not so easy to make it work with the back end. So one step at a time, you got to do this stuff. So now I'm going back here, and what I'm going to do is npm install npm run dev so I can start working on this locally on Cursor. Now, I've obviously been working on this locally on Cursor, but it's kind of been a shit show up until this point. So here I go. I'm going to log into the admin dashboard up there, and I am going to open up the console in my browser so I can see what happens when I try to log in. And nothing happens. It just resets. So I come back in here, and I say to Cursor, it's not working. There's no response. I have the correct credentials. There's no browser console message. So it's going to start looking into it for us. And there it's saying, okay, we fixed it, blah, blah, blah. I'm coming back here. I'm signing in, and now over here in the console, we can see some clues, but it's still just resetting. It's not working. So I copy that in there, and I say, hey, this is all we're seeing in the browser console. It's just a login page, authentication thing going on. It's not working. I'm also copying and pasting from the terminal this whole thing that happened, so it has more clues to work with. And sure enough, what's the first thing Claude sees? I see the issue now. There's a mismatch between local storage and the cookies. And then it goes through to fix all that. Blah, 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 back and forth, up. There's a front-end error. Paste that to Claude. Back to the dashboard. Not showing up at all now. Paste that to Claude. Here we go. We made it. We got the login. You're going to have to go through that, I don't know how many times before you get it to work, but you will get it to work eventually, I promise. So I'm logged in. Cool. There's our dashboard. Oh, wait a minute. As soon as I click upload resources, it goes back to the login screen. So I tell Claude about it. Hey, every time I click the upload resources button, it's taking me back to the login screen. What gives? And so then Claude, I see the issue, the same fix we applied, now made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. Let it fix it. And eventually, oh, cool. So I'm choosing a JSON file. Oh, it doesn't work. Unexpected token. Oh, look, there's something there in the browser console. Failed to load resource. Send that to Claude. Let's fix the upload functionality. This is the console message I see. It's a 404 error. Also, I want to be able to upload multiple files at once. Okay, so then we send that. Claude continues to debug it. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Now I'm uploading multiple files. 14 errors. See that? 14 errors. So I'm back in there. I'm looking at the console. Nothing in there. That's because I'm pretty sure this isn't client-side rendered. So the browser console is not going to have as much going on. This time it worked. 10 resources worked. Great. So now I go in here. We still have broken images though. Is that what's going to come next? Let's find out. Fast forward. Cool. So here in Supabase, we can see we have some resources. The admin dashboard worked. Awesome. So we do have an empty description though, and an empty title, which we're going to have to debug a little later. And I'm bringing this up again because, like I mentioned, I didn't do this as robustly as I could have, especially in the beginning. So now I'm telling Claude again, hey, we have a lot of data, different formats, but some of the variables are super important, like the categories, the tags, and the vibe scores are the resources. So let's make sure all that's getting in there. So Claude's kind of acting like it's happening, but the truth is we have to go through these one at a time. I've said it already. I'll say it again. Go through every data source you have one at a time if it's a different style of data. Claude here added a debug window for me to see, which I had to move when we went into production. There's also a debug window in the admin dashboard. I can actually test the database connection right there. You can see that it's empty. I don't know if it's actually empty right now, because yeah, there's YouTube videos. So I'm going to empty it and we're going to fix it. The database is connecting, but it's not showing any resources. Examine the code, proceed in planner mode to fix it. So then it plans our next moves here. It makes a scratch pad of how we're going to go about this. I'm running npm run dev again. By the way, there's a 5-day command line bootcamp if you've never used the command line, or if it scares you, rather. I'll give you a total introduction to how the command line is used for really important things, and you don't have to be like a super developer person to do it. So the link's down there. You can check that out. Next, you're going to run into Supabase policies that are going to need to be fixed. So for example, right here, this create policy, this SQL code, you're probably going to have to bring it into Supabase, which is over here on the right, and paste it in to make a new policy. It's not that hard, but you have to just like really pay attention to what everything means. Sometimes it just gives you something to copy and paste as a SQL query. It's not too much of this video here, but yeah, there is some like intermediate usage of Supabase you're going to need to know. This is what it looks like to run a Supabase policy. And here's a YouTube video. It's still not showing the title right. It's got a little bit of stuff there, but not everything's there. So here we go. I'm going to upload GitHub data and see what that looks like. Okay, that doesn't work because our backend can't parse it. So then we got to tell Claude, hey, make sure you can parse this data. Once again, if I had done all that in the beginning, it wouldn't be a problem now. Instead, we're going through lots of bullshit. Now we need to implement the resource image display. Every resource has its own image or file name, or a URL in the case of YouTube. And we need to connect that URL to the image in a Supabase bucket. I need to create the storage bucket and upload the images. So it gives me the code to create the bucket. Okay, there's a SQL code right there that I can just copy and paste. That's actually a policy for the bucket. I had to make the bucket, but it's giving me the steps. Okay, so the first thing is let's create the bucket, then give it these policies, and then it's going to say there's an issue. Fix the issue, success. Now we have a whole lot of images we can upload. I'm dragging all the images in, 1,687. Those are all going to upload. They take a little time. It all needs to paginate down below. So if you don't see all the images, that's just because they're not all loaded at that moment. So once that's done, all images are uploaded. I tell Claude. And the SQL for the policies for the resource images bucket are correct. So now make sure all the images are displayed on the resource. Let's see. Oh, we just got a placeholder. What's going on? Let's check the debugs. Nothing there. So I take a screenshot. I drag it in the cursor. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. I only see placeholders. What gives, Claude? What gives? So as you can see, we figured it out. We got some images over there. We got more things we're adding. So we go back and forth. Going to work on this style. The admin dashboard's working and I can edit resources here. Super easy to implement this. Just say, hey, make an edit page for the resource. And then you can do all that good stuff. And then here is a bulk delete option. I've only checked one, but you can do that. Press delete and boom, it deletes the resource. So now we have like a pretty functional backend starting to take shape on the front end. Got to submit a resource. We still have some placeholder images. The data is not as sexy as I know it will be and I know it can be, but that's okay. We're getting there. Taking a screenshot. Okay. Add the tags here. Fix the search. Get add. Stage everything. Get commit. Let's go live and get push. This is the moment where the site goes live because everything is ready to go. We still have the URL slugs are ugly. So I tell Claude, make sure the URL slugs are SEO friendly. In planner mode, what do you suggest? How do we go forward doing this? Now, this took quite a while to fix based on some of my data schema stuff. Once again, I don't know if I've said it yet. Figure out the data schema first off with everything you got going, including the URL slugs. And it's going to save you a lot of time. And eventually, you're going to get that fixed. And you're going to have the SEO URLs. And I'm still getting placeholder data, so I'm trying to solve that. We can see our extended data there in the Supabase database. Everything is getting more and more filled up. I just uploaded 255 YouTube videos to the backend. There was one error there, but otherwise it worked, and it's starting to look better now. It's starting to display the data in fun ways, which I like. Vibe score components, quality score, top topics, sentiment analysis, and the comments. It would be cooler if all of this is in real time, right? And I'm going to figure out how we can do that once I figure out what the best data is. There you have it. I hope this was helpful. What happened for me is I'm no longer really passionate about this directory. I mean, I never really was, even with Montessori my first directory. I like building. I like learning the technologies. I like building things. And so currently I'm going to turn Vibe Builder's AI, when I have the time, into an AI agent curated directory. And that'll be the next tutorial series for directories where we don't have static data, we have dynamic data. And it's updated, not in real time, but maybe every few days, the AI agent scrapes the internet, it updates anything that needs to be updated, maybe adds new resources. And that's going to be a big undertaking. I'm really excited to do it. But for now, if you're just making a standard traditional directory, this whole tutorial series should be super helpful for you. I sure hope it is anyway. And coming soon, there will be like a course. I'm almost done with like the basic Notion document that gives you the steps, and then a more thorough course where you can actually get all the prompts and all that. So thanks for watching. I would love to hear a comment what you thought about this video style, if you still watched, where I just had the video playing on screen and I just kind of went in and out of it instead of actually doing the tutorial. And then there's a bunch of links below to start doing command line and things like that. So I want your success. I want you to learn how to be a vibe coder, a builder, and this is the new creator economy. Let's do it, huh? Let's do it. I'll see you in the next video.